I'll go ahead and mute.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cheyenne. I'm an admissions counselor at Longwood University, and we are going to get started in a few moments. Interesting that the phone is ringing and it's so late. I apologize about that. So it does look like the participants are flooding through, so we're going to give them maybe 1 or 2 more minutes to join us on this webinar, and then I will go over a few housekeeping items, and then I'll turn it over to our panelists. Okay, 1 minute, that was 7:01. So again, welcome to the virtual college exploration for all Virginia students, which is sponsored by StriveScan, as well as VACRAO, which is the Virginia Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Counselors in Virginia, of course. So just a few housekeeping items is you're able to see the panelists, but they are not able to see you. So we can't see your beautiful faces and we can't hear you as well. So we are going to ask that you utilize the Q&A button, which will send your questions directly to our panelists and they can answer them individually, or they can just answer aloud. And you can put those in at any time. They're going to go through a portion of their presentation and then they'll start the questions at a separate point. Again, your camera and microphone are off. So if you do say anything or you're making any faces, again, we won't be able to see you. So definitely make sure that you're interacting and getting your questions answered through that Q&A function on the chat. Of course, we really want to make sure that you're signing up for more sessions, as well as sharing with your family and friends to sign up for more sessions as well. So definitely make sure you visit www.strivescan.com/Virginia to see all of the lovely other panels that we have for you for the rest of this week, as well as another week in October. And of course, this recording will be available within 1 week. So you're going to be able to access this as the same link, which is www.strivescan.com/Virginia. So again, utilize that Q&A function and we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to mute myself and turn it over to our panelists.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We are super excited to have you. Give us just 1 second. We're going to share our screen here so that you can see our slideshow. Looks like it's up there, so hopefully everyone can see it. But again, welcome. We're super excited to chat with you all tonight. Hopefully you're in the right spot. Our session, we're going to talk a little bit about public university price with a private college feel. So the 4 of us all work at institutions, public institutions, that function somewhat like private institutions. So I'm going to give a quick second just to introduce the 4 panelists here tonight. So my name is Kate Perry. I am one of the associate deans at William & Mary. And then we also have Yoma Miller, who is another associate dean from CNU. I'll let her wave her hand too. And then Serena Hartman from Longwood University and Sarah Lindberg from Mary Washington. So 4 associate deans who have been in the business for a little while, have been at our individual institutions for a little while. So hopefully we can fill you in on what the culture is like and why liberal arts at a public university gives you that private sense and that private feel, and why it might be a great idea for you. Afterwards, we will also talk into some of our own institutions, give you a little bit of insight into each of our own institutions, and then have the floor open for some questions. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump right in. Excellent. So I guess the first question often would be, what is liberal arts? What does that mean? What is that all about? Oftentimes you'll hear a lot of institutions self-describe as liberal arts and sciences institutions. So oftentimes when we're talking about that, what we mean is that we offer studies in our core curriculum across the humanities, the arts, natural, and social sciences. So it's a widespread foundation that you're going to get at a liberal arts and science institution. Each institution is slightly specific to their core curriculum. So some may offer a major just in the liberal arts. Other will have a core curriculum focused on the liberal arts and then have specific majors where you can get some depth in the field of your interest. But this curriculum is always fundamentally based in trying to teach you a few key things. So we hope that with the liberal arts curriculum, you'll be able to graduate and think critically, communicate effectively, and kind of explore the connections between different fields. So liberal arts foundation education is meant to stretch you a little bit and get you out of your comfort zone and expose you to different areas and different fields of study and kind of teach you how they connect to one another. Often there's an emphasis on a global approach to some sort of engaged citizenship. That can include a focus on study abroad or global education courses that you'll take as part of your core curriculum, and then also a commitment to preparing students who are future leaders in their academic field and their profession. So there are also a few kind of common key features among some liberal arts universities that help get you that sense of what a private feel would be like for an institution offering that curriculum. So many of these liberal arts institutions have smaller populations, so ranging anywhere from a few hundred to a few thousand students, usually lower than about 6, 7, 8,000 students. So a small, medium, small size is what you'll get at a liberal arts institution. And this is really to your benefit, because this allows you to have those small class sizes where you get to connect with your faculty members, get to connect with your peers, really enhance those relationships and stretch your network a little bit. So that's certainly something that can be to your benefit as you're starting your process at your institution. Often the classes are also based with kind of a discussion format. So there'll be some lecture style classes, but a lot is based on discussion. And oftentimes those lecture classes are small enough that they can facilitate some small style discussion classes anyways. It might have some breakout experiences or breakout opportunities and also some experiential learning as part of that. You'll also get a chance to connect with your faculty a little bit more. That low population size aids to the low student to faculty ratio and gives you a chance to get to know those faculties and professors on a deeper level, which hopefully opens up an opportunity for some research. A lot of times institutions that have a liberal arts and science curriculum give you the opportunity for research in the particular fields that they offer. And getting to know those faculty members really helps and kind of kickstart the research process, because many of the faculty are focused on research, but because the populations are usually pretty small, that's often done at the undergraduate level. So that's something that's quite unique to a liberal arts university. There's also the focus on the community as a whole. So not only the community within the college or university, but also the community outside of the college and university. So that emphasis on the global citizen and engagement is key to the curriculum, is often put into practice in the type of study that you're going to receive there. And then most typically, these institutions tend to be private because they have that foundation that they can offer that small size and that connectivity on a private field. So the four of us, like I said when we first began this, are a little bit different because we're coming from a public university and college perspective, but offering that private feel and that private liberal arts curriculum.
All right, thanks so much, Kate. So as mentioned, my name is Yoma Miller from Christopher Newport University. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why liberal arts education is so important. First off, the well-rounded educational foundation offered in a liberal arts institution is highly prized by employers. Liberal arts education provides graduates with those transferable skills that are highly sought after in the workforce. You'll become an effective communicator. You'll be able to think critically and problem solve, along with working well with others. Liberal arts graduates are considered nimble and adaptable because of their exposure to a wide variety of disciplines, and you're also going to gain that depth and focus to a particular major or field of study at the same time. When you do a quick search on the internet, you'll start to see that there are so many careers that didn't even exist 20 years ago. And so you'll come across some pretty neat examples. So for example, social media brand managers, that's blending business courses and technology together. Sustainability managers, blending environmental science, environmental studies, public policy. These are careers that didn't even exist 20 years ago. And the way that the liberal arts are set up, you can be exposed to those multiple areas of study through your education. So when you're thinking about deciding on schools, you'll also want to really acknowledge that return on investment. A liberal arts education provides you with that knowledge that's needed in today's global marketplace. And as Kate said, liberal arts educations have typically been at private institutions and considered for the elite, but we are public institutions and we really pride ourselves on serving the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we want to make sure that we're providing access to all students across the state of Virginia. And so that kind of leads us to that price piece of offering an option for an elite level education at a public institution price point.
So now you know a little bit more about the what and the why of a liberal arts education. But now let's talk about that price piece. In our title of our presentation, we talked about a public university price and a private college feel. And so we do want to talk a little bit about the implications for financial aid and what that might look like for you as you're starting this journey. For those of you that are seniors, for those of you who are sophomores and juniors, it's always good to know that information as well, leading in and what to expect. So when you talk about price and a sticker price, that is the price that is just out there for everyone. At all of our institutions, you will find that there is a price for a Virginia resident, and then there is a price for an out-of-state student. So being that we are public liberal arts, you are going to save on your education with Mary Washington, as we're still giving you that private school feel with that public school cost, which is pretty nice. So being a resident of the Commonwealth of Virginia subsidizes your costs at any of our institutions, which is why you see that differentiation. But then you might be thinking, how else am I going to help pay for this college experience? I know it's an investment in my future. What support is out there for me? So first and foremost, we want to talk about the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA. Hopefully that's something that each of you has at least heard once or twice, if not, have started to dive into a little bit more. But that free application for federal student aid is really what's going to help create a financial aid award package for you from our different offices. So what exactly is it? Well, it's a standardized form that you will complete on their website, which is fafsa.ed.gov. Please don't go to fafsa.com. That is incorrect. And they will actually ask you to pay to fill out the form. It is free. Do not pay anyone to fill out this form. But it collects demographic and financial information about you and your family. And what all of the information they are collecting is determined a need as part of that, or what your financial need might be and needing assistance to pay for this college experience that you are looking for. So what ultimately comes from the FAFSA form is the expected family contribution, or EFC. We use those terms interchangeably. A really great example of this is that a school, and I'm going to use some round numbers just to make it easy, a school could cost $25,000 a year, right? Well, your EFC may be $5,000 a year. That means your need is about $20,000, okay? So this form helps us figure those different pieces out within our offices of financial aid. The FAFSA form is available beginning October 1st, guys. So you have a little over a week before it will become available to you, and it will use your tax information and your parent or guardian tax information from 2019. So the taxes that they just finished filling out anywhere between April and actually July this year, they will be using those to help facilitate and create this award package for you. The federal government provides millions of dollars in need-based aid to our students. One of the most common things and awards that you will find is called the Pell Grant. And you may be eligible for that based on what your expected family contribution is and what the college or university you are applying to, what their cost is, okay? So that's a little bit more about the form. The EFC is, or expected family contribution, is calculated with a formula within that FAFSA form. So it is not what our colleges and universities believe that you can pay towards your education. It is what the federal government believes that you can contribute towards your education as well. Your EFC is yours. Okay, it should be the same whether you're applying to my school, Mary Washington, or CNU, Christopher Newport University, William & Mary, or Longwood. That EFC goes with you everywhere. Okay, so if a college is telling you that your EFC is different from different schools, something's up there. Okay, there are other colleges that will use an additional form to help with the EFC and get a bigger picture of your financial situation, and that's called the CSS profile. Of our institutions, I believe William & Mary is the one on this panel that does require that form. The rest of us do not. Some public institutions will require it. A lot of private colleges and universities will require that form as well, and they're trying to get a bigger picture or a better picture, asking a few additional questions than just what's on that FAFSA form that you'll be filling out. So another term or phrase that you're going to hear when I talked about sticker price right? There's also cost of attendance, or COA. The cost of attendance is both your billed costs, so what you and your family will actually receive in a bill from the college or university, but it's also inclusive of your additional expenses that are estimated that you aren't actually billed for. So your books, your supplies, transportation to and from campuses, your personal and miscellaneous expenses that may be coming into place. You can borrow money up to the cost of attendance for a college or university. So a lot of times you'll hear the university, and again, just using that round example, $25,000 is the tuition and fees to the university, but they may build a cost of attendance off of $30,000. And that's what your financial aid package is going to be built off of, is that $30,000 to account for those miscellaneous expenses that you may or may not incur. If you are a natural science major, it's traditional that your books are just a little bit more expensive than somebody that is studying maybe in the humanities area. It's the nature of wanting to be a science major. But those variable costs can have a play into this, but we make the estimation based on an average that we're seeing across our students. So that's a little bit more about some of the different phrases that you will be hearing across the board. I mentioned before that you have the financial need factor as part of this, and that is your COA, or cost of attendance, minus your EFC, or expected family contribution, that comes from the FAFSA form. And then whatever that amount is that's left over, that's your financial need. And that's the information that goes to our financial aid offices to create an award package for you. That can include federal aid, also state aid. The Commonwealth of Virginia does a great job with offering some different state grants too, but it can also incorporate some institutional aid or merit-based scholarships or curriculum awards too. So there's lots of options to help pay for this. If you want to get an idea of what a school is going to cost you, each college and university is required to have a net price calculator on their website to help you see what students in the past have previously paid for those institutions, getting a roundabout idea of what their aid packages looked at. And it's a good estimating tool to help you as part of this process. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Serena.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of financial aid that you guys can see. Definitely, it's great to rely on that net price calculator to kind of get a good estimate, a good idea of what you can be looking forward to. But also, I think it's super important to make sure, typically senior year in the spring, so sometime after January is when schools will be sending out financial aid packages. So that's when you're going to see a little bit more of these options and what's available to you based off of your FAFSA. Or some of it actually doesn't even require FAFSA, but we always recommend filling it out. Gift aid is kind of what we refer to as the free money. So it's going to be based on like scholarships and grants. So scholarships can be anywhere from merit-based scholarships, so based off of GPA, test scores. There's athletic scholarships to go along with the academic ones. So if you're an athlete that's eligible for scholarship, you can get them from those. We have specific ones for like honors college, STEM programs. Scholarships can really just be based upon a specific program, merit, sports, anything like that. But that is free money. So it is important that you know that you don't have to pay that back, which is wonderful. But a lot of times those will actually come with guidelines to follow. So sometimes you need to maintain a certain GPA, a certain number of credit hours, or things like that. So you should always make sure that you read all the details that kind of coincide with that scholarship. Just so that you kind of know what you can be looking forward to as a student if you're going to go ahead and accept these scholarships. We also have grants. So typically grants can be, they'll come from when you fill out the FAFSA. We actually have one that's very specific to public institutions in Virginia called the Virginia Guaranteed Assistance Program. So that is only eligible for students that, are, in financial need and that are attending a Virginia school. So it's very important that it is a state institution like all of us here on this panel. So those are another thing that you will not have to pay back. So grants, you will not have to pay back. Also, one of the more popular grants, like Sarah mentioned, is the Pell Grant. So that is based upon your financial need. Like she discussed earlier, you could become eligible for that, which means you will not have to pay it back, which is great news. There's also some self-help options, which means that you do have to go ahead and accept these. You have to and more than likely you do have to pay them back. So, or not more than likely, you do have to pay loans back. Work study works a little bit differently, but for loans, typically the loans that you're going to see are going to be subsidized or unsubsidized. If you fill out the FAFSA, no matter if you have drastic financial need or not, you are going to be able to receive some sort of loan. So I believe it is up to $5,500 in loans is going to be guaranteed for you. The difference between subsidized and unsubsidized is that for subsidized loans, the federal government would actually pay the interest up until you either no longer attend or you complete the 4 years. I believe it starts to accrue 6 months after you stop going or that you graduate. Unsubsidized, it does start accruing interest, but typically these are at a lot lower rates than some private loans that you can get from banks and things like that. Work study is a different option as well for students that have financial need or are looking for ways to help pay for school. There is federal work study, which you have to be eligible for based upon your FAFSA, which means that you will have a job typically on campus and that you'll get paid or money will go towards your bill. And there's general work study, which is maybe if you don't qualify based upon your FAFSA or your estimated family contribution, like we learned earlier, they still have job opportunities available on most campuses for you to work and kind of, pay as you go, which is great. So definitely look into some of those self-help options as well. So another great thing to look at is outside sources for scholarships. There is so much money to be gotten for school and for college. There are scholarships for anything that you can possibly imagine: left-handed people, tall people, short people, anything. So really it's kind of, I know senior year it's kind of hard to get in that mentality of writing some extra essays or filling out extra things, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. All of us kind of talked about some of the best outside sources for scholarships, and I always start local. There's plenty of community-based organizations that have money, and then sometimes it doesn't look like a lot on paper. It'll be a few hundred or maybe $1,000 or things like that, but everything adds up. So start with some community-based organizations, anything like schools, churches, banks. Pretty much all of them are doing some sort of service or have like a way to give back to the community, and a lot of the times that works through scholarships. So make sure that you're looking in those. I actually know a student who went to 5 different churches and got scholarships from all 5 of them because they didn't have any seniors that actually attended that specific church. So it worked out for him where he actually was getting them from all over. So it's a little bit of work for a lot of reward. Also some larger outside scholarship sources. Fastweb.com is super beneficial. They have a big scholarship search that you can kind of find which ones best suit you. They have such large ranges where it can be a few thousand to almost 20,000. So it really is in between, depending upon what you're doing. I would always say apply for as many as you can. It doesn't hurt. Sometimes you're going to be going up against thousands of other students. Sometimes you might be 1 out of 3. So it's definitely worth it to kind of fill it out. College Board also has an awesome option for if you go to their Big Future program. They have ways to kind of help find schools that are good fits for you, as well as you can search a multitude of scholarships as well. Scholarships.com is also a phenomenal one. I always like to tell a little story of, I actually went to a scholarship luncheon last year where I met a young man who actually received a little over $1 million in scholarships from outside sources. Because that's what he did. He put in work his senior year, filled out scholarships, and he got them almost everywhere, which was absolutely incredible. So it's always kind of like the big dream of making sure, you work for what you want and you can get some great outside scholarships. So I believe now we're going to go into the portion that is university specific. So all 4 of us will talk a little bit more about our public institutions. Like we said earlier, my name is Serena Hartman. I'm the Associate Director at Long University, which was founded in 1839 in a small town called Farmville, Virginia. So we are a little over 181 years old. So we've been around a long time. We have some really fun traditions and things like that that go on campus. We are what I like to call SMedium. So we have about 5,000 undergraduate students with about 700 graduate students, which adds to that nice, tight-knit, inclusive campus and environment. even though we are kind of small to medium, we are Division I in athletics, part of the NCAA. We are in the Big South Conference. So we have 14 varsity sports, with 8 of those being women's sports and 6 being men's sports, which is super cool. It's actually free for our students to go to those games. So, you get your Lancer card, you can show up at any of those events. Our average class size is about 18 students. So we actually cap our Civitate core curriculum classes at 18, which is just our general education classes. But we want to make sure that you're not coming in as a new student and kind of getting thrown into a large class. So we want to make sure that you have that tight-knit feel that you're going to get for the rest of your time at Longwood University. We do have over 180 clubs and organizations on campus, ranging from belly dancing to Quidditch, rugby, and pretty much anything else you can think of. We also have opportunities for students to create their own clubs. If for some reason all 180 really aren't your thing, you can gather some friends and make your own, which is wonderful. We do have over 100 areas of study, including different majors, minors, and concentrations that you can kind of mix and match with, which is wonderful. 88% of our faculty is full-time, and they have terminal degrees. So we have some really strong faculty. We actually have one that was awarded the Outstanding Faculty Award by the SHEV, which is the State Council for Higher Education in Virginia. So we just won that last year, which is wonderful. We have 100% of our students that participate in either an internship or hands-on learning experience. So we want to make sure that we're preparing our students for the future, like we said earlier, which is so crucial to all of this liberal arts education. And then with our full-time faculty, it's a 14-to-1 student faculty ratio. So you're not only making those connections with your peers, but the faculty as well. So some of our mid-ranges for fall 2020 admissions was 3.21 to a 3.93, with the SAT being between a 980 and 1160, and the ACT being between a 19 and a 25. But as you can see, we are now test optional for fall 2021. So you actually do not have to submit SAT or ACT scores for admissions decisions. So that's just a little information right there. We have some of my office contact information at the bottom. So you guys can feel free to reach out.
Excellent. I like how Serena said that they're medium. That is definitely how we would describe ourselves as well. So about 6,000 undergrads at William & Mary and 2,000 graduate students, a little over 2,000 graduate students. So I always say medium, small, but really we probably lean a little bit more on the medium side. So at William & Mary, I think one of the big key things that you'll hear about William & Mary is we are quite old. We are the second oldest college in the nation. So we have a lot of history, a lot of traditions. Harvard beat us by just a little bit in terms of their charter, but we'll forgive them, I suppose. But we have a really active student body at William & Mary. One of the traditions that we often talk about our opening convocation is what you see in the picture up there at the top. So it's definitely a family feel at William & Mary and a family culture, which kind of ties into that whole private liberal arts college feel that you're going to get, but at a public institution. So a little bit more about our culture as a whole. Like I said, traditions are really important to us. And within our student body, we have a very active student body. So we have nearly 500 student clubs and organizations, which is crazy for an institution our size. That's equivalent to how some institutions that are like 3 times our size have that number of student clubs and organizations. So really active, really engaged, really connected student body, which is super important when we're reviewing admission applicants, that we want to see that you exhibit those skills and exhibit those features as well. We're also Division I for varsity athletics. We have 16 NCAA sports teams here at William & Mary, and then hundreds of intramural teams and about 45 club teams. So that's kind of functions like a high school varsity, junior varsity. And all of those kind of tie into, like I said, that active student body, active participation. In terms of academics, like we've said before, liberal arts and sciences, so pretty strong across the board. Some of our most popular majors include business and biology, neuroscience, history, international relations, and psychology, but we have many more outside of that list. And smaller class sizes. So class sizes range from about 25 to 35 students with a 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So pretty low student to faculty ratio too. And then research is a big deal at William & Mary. So about 80% of our students participate in mentored research and 20% are published. So lots of research opportunities, not just within the natural sciences, so the social sciences, the humanities, and the arts. That's something that's definitely emphasized during your William & Mary education, and an opportunity to study abroad. So we actually have the highest national average of any public institution institution for students studying abroad, which kind of ties into that liberal arts and science feel that is so essential to what we're talking about today. And then great success rate with our admission for our students. So we have a 96% freshman retention rate, so meaning that for those freshmen then return as sophomores, and a 90% graduation rate. So that's the graduation once you have begun, that 90% of those students then do end up graduating from William & Mary. That's just something that we're super proud of keeping our students here. And then a little bit similar to many other institutions, we are going test optional for this coming year. We're actually going to be test optional for the coming 3 years. So if we have any juniors watching here today, that will also apply to you, and also any sophomores, if you happen to jump on, hey, go you, good job being on it. But that will apply to you as well for our admission process. And we have both the Common App and the Coalition App that will allow for applications to come from. That's a little bit about William & Mary.
All right, everybody, I'm up next. So the University of Mary Washington, we are located in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So we are right off the I-95 corridor, 50 miles south of Washington, D.C., and 50 miles north of Richmond, Virginia. So while we have a nice suburban park-like campus, we have access to those 2 major metropolitan cities pretty easily for our students throughout the year for internship experiences, or just to go pay tribute, like to our RBG. One of our students went up yesterday after classes to go see that memorial there. So easy access to get back and forth for you with our location right in Fredericksburg. I too say that we're schmedium, Serena, so it's going around. We are definitely the smaller one of the Virginia public institutions. We're currently about 4,200 undergraduate students at Mary Washington. We think that is the perfect size for ourselves. We are not looking to grow. With that, our average class size is about 19, and our student to faculty ratio is about 13:1. As the liberal arts and sciences, we do have lots of different programs and majors that students can choose from. We do offer a few that differentiate us just a little bit. We are the #1 historic preservation program in the country at the undergraduate level. We established the first independent department for historic preservation. I also may be a little biased as well because it was my undergraduate major when I attended the University of Mary Washington. But you will find excellent faculty that are really invested and engaged with our students in a lot of different ways. And that engagement's changed slightly via COVID. It's a lot more video chatting and things like that. But they're still there and very supportive of our student populations. All of our courses, as you've noticed that each of us have said, 100% of our faculty teach our courses. And that remains true at the University of Mary Washington as well. They are there primarily to be the experts in the field and to be in front of you in the classroom. They all have research projects. They're all doing that with our undergraduate students. We invest roughly about $275,000 a year to undergraduate research with the university, and not just in the natural sciences, but across the board in any of our majors that we offer as well. When it comes to our student population, we are primarily represented from students from the Commonwealth of Virginia, largest being Northern Virginia, and then Tidewater and Richmond respectively for that. But we do have students that come from across the country and many different foreign countries as well. In terms of our population size, we are about 1/3 first in the family. What does that mean? That means that about 1/3 of our student populations are first generation students, or they're the first within their families to attend a college or university, a 4-year college or university. So a very supportive network there, and an excellent community at Mary Washington with over 150 clubs and organizations for our students to get involved in. You're not lacking for anything for you to do there in terms of activities outside of the classroom. We are Division III for our varsity athletics. We're a part of the Capital Athletic Conference, and we have 23 varsity sports teams, as well as one Division I men's rugby team and a Division II women's rugby team, and they do pretty well themselves too. In terms of our little bit of our school profile, Mary Washington is completely test choice. We have been test choice for about the last 5 years or so. That is something that we are going to continue to do to review our applicants holistically within the application process, and students that apply with or without test scores are still reviewed for either curriculum or merit-based scholarships in the application process. And that average weighted GPA is roughly about a 3.7. So we're definitely looking for A's and B's in the classroom. And we want to see you challenge yourself as well with some advanced coursework too. We would love for you to follow us on social media. We have the admissions Snapchat, the university's Instagram, as well as the university's Facebook page and Instagram listed for you there. So connect with us virtually. We'd love to show you a little bit about what's going on. Our admissions office is currently open for limited information sessions and tours, small groups of no more than 10 individuals, appropriately social distanced and masked for your entire visit on campus if you would like to come and join us. So that's just a little bit about Mary Washington, and I'm going to turn it over to Yoma.
All right, thanks so much, Sarah. Last but not least, to round out some of our common themes of the liberal arts experience, Christopher Newport University is located in Newport News, Virginia. So located on the peninsula, coastal community, just about 20 minutes from Colonial Williamsburg, Busch Gardens, Water Country, about 45 minutes from the Atlantic Ocean, so not too far from the Virginia Beach coastline. We are 5,000 students, so also continuing with that small to medium size there. We're undergraduate focused, so only 250 of our 5,000 students are graduate students, and that's very intentional at Christopher Newport because we really want to be that foundation and stepping stone for graduate programs upon graduating from CNU. Our campus is about 260 acres, surrounded in a well-established suburban area of Newport News. We have over 90 different majors, minors, concentrations, and advising tracks. Like most liberal arts, you do not have to commit to a major until second semester of your sophomore year at CNU, so you do have some time to really explore your options and make an educated decision on a major. We much rather prefer that you do that. We're NCAA Division III for athletics with 24 intercollegiate sports to choose from. And of course, if two-a-days are not in your future or 5 a.m. practice is not in your future, then club or intramural sports might be the way to go. We have about 200 clubs and organizations to choose from. That's quite a few for our group of 5,000 students, and anything from those traditional expected things like Greek life, but there's also faith-based organizations, cultural-based organizations, and those unique clubs and organizations like the Disney Princess Club and the Chicken Nugget Appreciation Club. Those are real clubs on our campus. So I never want to hear a student tell me that they can't find something to be involved with. So always keep that in mind. We are highly residential, and I like to talk about that early. Freshmen, sophomore, and junior students are required to live on our campus. That is pretty distinctive, especially as a public university. Of course, every study shows that living and learning together, you're more successful socially and academically. And then it's just one of those heavy traditions of a true liberal arts experience. So that's why we're so heavy with our residential. The plus side of that is we're a public school that's guaranteeing your housing for 3 years. Our seniors do go into the lottery system, but seniors typically really want to live on campus because our residence halls are ranked top 10 in the nation by Princeton Review. So people definitely want to continue to live on campus in that senior year. We typically have a applicant pool of about 8,000 students with a goal of a freshman class of 1,250. And our middle 50% for incoming freshmen is a 3.5 to a 4.0. Mid-range SAT is 1160 to 1280, and mid-range ACT is 24 to 28. We have all spoken tonight about mid-ranges, so keep that in mind that mid-range simply means that 50% of students are somewhere in those areas. There are some students that might be slightly below our middle 50% that are still offered admission because I think we would all agree that we pride ourselves on a holistic review process. And then of course, there are some students who are above those mid-ranges who are definitely offered admission as well. Keep in mind our application plans. We do have early decision, which is a binding commitment to the university. So that's a pretty serious decision to make because you are stating, if accepted, you're ready to commit to our university. Early action is non-binding, but you still have that priority consideration for admission. And then of course, good old-fashioned regular decision is still an option for students as well. We are test optional as well. We have been test optional for over 10 years. However, ours always with the caveat of you must have at least a 3.5 GPA to apply test optional. that requirement is waived this year. So we are test optional across the boards, no minimum GPA for test optional, and that also includes test optional for our merit-based scholarships. So first time for that. So I think that this is an opportunity for students. Of course, we know that testing has been quite the dilemma with everything going on. So we have to acknowledge that and really focus on being even more holistic than we've ever been before. I think we would all agree that we've always taken the holistic approach for the application process, and we've always recognized that you're more than just numbers. But now people are going to have individual stories that we're eager to hear and would hope that you would share with us so that we can make decisions accordingly on your application. So that's all of our schools, and we'd be happy to open up for questions. And don't forget to use the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen and ask us some questions.
All right, guys, I may stop this. Oh, there it is. I was having a hard time with the screen share trying to find that Q&A box. So please drop those questions in there. So one of the questions that we have received says, would being a public school librarian be considered a degree within the liberal arts? I'm happy to grab that one if no one else would like to. Anybody? Oh, okay, I'll go ahead and grab that one. Okay, so becoming a librarian, you would need a program in library science. So colleges and universities across the board will list all of their different majors, minors, and programs that are available to students at their universities. So what you really want to be looking for is a library science program that would potentially be at a liberal arts and sciences university. We offer a course or two within library science at the University of Mary Washington, but we do not offer a specific major in library science. Do any of my colleagues offer a library science program? Serena, do you want to kind of come on there?
Hello. So I know that we offer a librarianship master's degree. So I think it's a master's of education in librarianship.
Okay. So a master's degree program, so there may be some additional schooling outside of the bachelor's degree that you're going to be looking for as well. So something to be considered too in there. Any other questions that want to pop in there? I think we may have a few back and forth. What would you guys say is a tip that you would have for students as they're looking through the college search process and kind of debating the different colleges and the differences? If each of us wants to give a little tip for our students.
I'll go ahead and go. Oh, sorry, Yoma.
Oh, I was going to say that, don't necessarily focus so much on what your friends are doing. You really need to focus on what's the best fit for you. So if you know that you would like to be in a smaller class, you want to have those engaging conversations with faculty members, then going to an institution where there's tons of lectures with 400 and 500 students isn't the right fit for you. So I just want to make sure that students are out there making those decisions that suit them best, not necessarily following the pack of what some of the other friends at school may be doing. Just doing your research on not only academic fit, but also that social environment fit as well. So if you're really into clubs and organizations and want to be active on campus, make sure you're looking for a campus that provides quite a bit of activities beyond the classroom. Not a suitcase campus on the weekend. You'll want to know what weekend life is about and things like that. So I could go on and on about suggestions for making a decision. So I'll leave it there so that other people can join in.
I'll go ahead and just grab this next question that we just got real quick so that we get it before time is up. But a great question said, do the colleges here accept dual enrollment class credits? I can confidently say that predominantly Virginia public schools are all going to be very transfer friends of dual enrollment credits taken through like community colleges and things like that. So for the most part, yes, it might depend a little bit which ones they transfer over as, but you can definitely go to each individual institution to find out what that counts as.
Just kind of to tag on to that, a lot of different institutions will offer a full list on their websites of the different classes, and that goes for dual enrollment, IB courses, AP courses, all of that. As far as we've heard, thus far, College Board has said that they're going to move forward with hopefully testing in the spring for AP and IB. So that's something that we're obviously following closely, because often that's part of the credit evaluation and whether you'll get credit or class exemption, but many different institutions will offer that full list online, so you can check that out.
Awesome. I echo everything that my colleagues have said. Utilizing those resources is important for you. But your traditional English 101, 111, 112 dual enrollment classes, those are going to be transferable to the vast majority of our institutions. But always check with the schools that you are considering applying to. And it looks like we have run out of time. So thank you guys so much for being here with us. Or if you're watching it on the recording, reach out to us in our offices. Follow us on our social medias, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you again to our panelists for that great information. And again, the recording will be available in addition to all of our other sessions. So if you weren't able to make a session today because of class or because of other things, or maybe there's something that your parents want to know more about, definitely make sure you check out the full schedule to join in future sessions, as well as review other sessions that have already passed by visiting www.strivescan.com/Virginia. So when you exit off of this, there is going to be a quick survey that pops up, which is just for questions. Please do those. Any additional feedback you can provide for us will be very, very helpful. And again, make sure that you visit strivescan.com/Virginia to view recordings as well as future sessions and sign up for some more of those, as well as share with your friends to sign up as well. So thank you again for joining us. And thank you so much to our panelists. It was great information. Have a lovely night, everybody.